All right, Mary,
All right, I will leave it in charge. You're all set. It's recording.
it is recording?
Yes,
Okay, thanks very much.
you're welcome.
Okay, see ya.
Good night.
Okay, 6:30-ish. We'll open this meeting of the Conservation Commission for March 22nd in accordance with the Massachusetts State Wetlands Protection Act and regulations in the Ashburnham Wetlands Protection Bylaw and its rules and regulations. As I just was saying, kind of off the record, but now for the record, I received word from the consultant for 5 Stodge Road that he has still not heard back from the Natural Heritage Program on why, whatever is going on that particular piece of property. As I said beforehand, I'm assuming the designation of the pond as state listed rare species habitat is for common loons, but why the land area would have been so designated is beyond me, and why it's taken so long to make such a apparently simple determination also is beyond me. Anyway, I sent an email back to the applicant's representative and said, we'd see him next month. So that's about all we can do there. So 5 Stodge Drive goes back in the pile, which leaves us with the abbreviated notice of intent for, here we go, lot 511 Sunset Drive, which I will now open the public hearing for. The applicant, Susan Diebold, is filing for work consisting of clearing a path to the lakeshore, clearing an area near the shore, removal of trees, and dock installation within the buffer zone of Sunset Lake. So, Susan is with us. Sue?
I think she might be on mute there, Marshall.
Susan, are you with us? Mute. Ask to unmute. I'm trying.
Unmuted, you can't hear.
Yeah, she's unmuted though.
Yeah.
Sue, do you have headphones that you can put on?
I don't know. Unmute.
Yeah, I think it looks like she's unmuted, but it's not coming through. I know my computer does that too if I don't use these headphones.
I'll get it. No, we're not ending yet. Susan.
Maybe Susan, if you can hear us, put a message in the chat box.
And then how do you send it?
The chat box is down.
No, I did that, but when you open it, how do you send the message?
Oh, it's just automatically, as long as she's looking at the chat box, you click on the little chat symbol, you
Yeah.
type the message and then click, it should go to everybody.
Okay,
But I think at least she could tell us what the delay is, but I don't know if she can hear us though.
I said, please unmute. Does anybody else see that message?
No, I didn't get that message.
Okay, after I type it in, how do I send it?
Oh, you just, I think you just press enter, like,
Hit enter
I don't see it enter.
just like the return
Enter
key.
key,
on your
Oh.
keyboard, return.
Oh,
return key. Yeah.
Still didn't go to everyone.
if they wanted me to,
I'm gonna try. Oh, there it goes. She writes, I'm trying to log on from my phone now. I can hear you. Can you let me join the meeting again, please?
okay, hang on. Participants. Waiting room, okay, admit.
There we go.
Hi. Wow.
And now you want to turn
Now
off
you
the
need-
volume on.
Get off the computer.
Turn off the
Sorry.
computer.
Okay, I'm moving away from my computer. Sorry about that.
Yeah, step away from the computer.
Yep.
Okay, you're with us.
I am. Sorry about that.
Awesome. That's all right. So we have opened the public hearing on your application, and I'm looking at this drawing from Sunset Lake. To Sunset Lake from Sunset Drive.
Right.
So if I'm reading one of these other plans correctly, we're talking about, I don't know, about 150 feet distance from the road to the lake?
Approximately on the left side. It's a little shallower on the right side.
Right, right. Okay. So I guess my first question is, is there parking off of Sunset Drive now? Can you get off the road?
So there is an area we can pull over, and we may have the guy doing the excavation work also make a little area right parallel to the road.
Hmm.
So we have a larger parking area, and that would be outside of the 100-foot buffer zone.
Okay,
And that
because
doesn't require any tree removal either.
it's pretty open along
It
the
is-
road.
In that particular spot.
Okay, when you said somebody doing excavation work,
If
What
this
is-
is, if it's allowed, so, just using a mini backhoe.
to do what?
Just to dig a little of the earth as needed to level it out and add some gravel to the low spots. We want to work around large boulders and the large trees with the path, make a meandering path. There is a path straight down to the water right now, and it's just really hazardous. We couldn't, we couldn't have our father-in-law and mother-in-law go down there last year. It was too hazardous with all the rock and all the boulders in there. And we don't want to excavate out the boulders. We just want to work around it and go more toward the middle of the lot because it's right on we did it down to the very edge of the lot right now because it was just the quickest path. But it would be nicer in the middle of the lot. And we could, like I said, just meander around existing boulders and large trees.
Okay. All right. And how wide is the path going to be?
Figured about 4 feet.
And if you were to move, how big is the sandy area?
I was thinking about 18 feet wide by about 12 feet wide.
um, which is the frontage is about 122, so
Yeah,
on the lake.
yes.
And it's, you note that there's a proposed removal of an 18-inch diameter pine and a cluster of saplings.
Yes.
Is the entire frontage vegetated like that?
The whole thing is not, we chose that particular area because it was the least vegetated. It was in the center, but it was also has the least vegetation and tree.
So shifting it, I mean, as I look at it with, so I can read your map, with Sunset Drive close to me and the lake furthest from me, moving the sandy area to the right would not preserve anything or preclude the need to cut the pine tree?
There would be more trees in the way. So the area is fairly open right now in the area that we had proposed.
Where the sand is to be placed?
Correct.
What if you left a tree?
Last year, we had our boat docked, over on the far left side. And it was getting a lot of, it's a pretty new pontoon boat, and it was getting a lot of damage from just debris falling out of the trees. And we were really scared that trees were going to fall on the pontoon boat during a storm. So
Which
we
they
just,
may still do.
it could happen, but it would be less likely if those two particular trees were taken down. Those are the ones that would be right in the direct line of fire.
Is the tree healthy?
That particular tree is healthy.
I'm kind of reluctant to, well, speaking personally, not for the rest of the commission, but I mean, an 18-inch diameter tree is a sizable thing. And it's probably what, 75 feet tall? More?
I don't think it's that tall. My husband's here. How tall do you think that tree is that we want to take down? The bigger one? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, maybe 50 feet.
Yeah, he said it's probably 50 feet.
And does it have a lot of lower branches, or all the lower branches gone by now?
It does have a lot of lower branches.
What if we just remove the lower branches?
If we just remove the lower branches, Rick, would that,
It's still gonna get pitch all over the boat.
yeah, it's the pine pitch is the big problem with.
Damn pine pitch. It's always the pine pitch. Man, I don't know how the others feel, but life's you know what, and pine pitch just comes with it. How about covering your boat?
Well, we do, but the cover is getting,
Destroys the cover.
it's destroying the cover.
Oh, but you could always cover the cover. Don't smirk.
I wouldn't know how to cover the cover. I mean, it
Okay,
has to,
all I'm saying is, and it seems kind of radical to cut down a huge pine tree, which is doing what it does, and by shading the area. And I mean, the sapling cluster, okay, it's in the way. But I mean, if you can get somebody to, even, go up, 20, 25 feet, take off all the lower branches. I mean, to me, that would seem some reasonable compromise. Anybody else have any comments besides me?
If Marshall was asking earlier about sliding the dock to the right just a little bit, you said there's some small trees up that way. Like how small? In other words, would it make more sense to leave the large pine because it is shading the edge of the lake and doing a lot of good, and maybe we wouldn't lose as much if you took out 3 or 4 small trees, sliding the dock over just 10 or 20 feet to the right.
I think there's also, Rick, there are other large trees along the shoreline, right? There's a lot of large trees along the shoreline.
Okay.
Yeah, there are. And that, we chose this location, like I said, because it would be the least impact.
How far does the dock extend out into the lake?
The dock is, how many feet? 24?
It's, yeah, a 24-foot. No, wait a minute. 12, 16.
I believe it's 24 feet. There's 3 sections, right? 3 8-foot sections?
No, there's a 16-foot section
Right.
and a 12-foot ramp going to it.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a 12-foot ramp going to it. So it probably extends 24 into the water, and then part of it comes up on the land.
Okay, but there's an L to it, right?
There is, yes.
So from the shoreline out into the lake, it goes 24 feet, and then there's an L section.
Yes.
Therefore, the pontoon boat can just cruise up alongside the L section.
We really need to tie it along the parallel to the 24-foot section. It gets a lot of wake in that location. It's in the open part of the lake, and motorboats are zipping by, and there's lots of wake.
What if you put the L in the other direction?
The L
In the other direction. Is it set up to do it that way?
The dock's not wide enough to accommodate the boat with it on the L.
No, I realize that, but right now I'm looking at the dock goes out and then it goes to the right. What if the dock goes out and it goes to the left? And therefore you're not parking under the pine tree.
Because we need to park the boat on the right side of the dock. That's why we were putting the L to the left.
Why? Why
So
can't you
that
park-
the
So
flow
that
of the
you
lake,
drive into the dock on the side of the boat that the steering wheel is on.
yeah, the flow of the lake tends to go.
There's a lot of wind there too.
Right, there's a lot of wind, and it makes it very difficult to get the boat docked if you try to do it on the opposite end of the steering wheel.
Isn't the steering wheel in the middle?
No,
No,
not a center console, no.
Well, I don't know about the rest of the crew, but I'm not thrilled about cutting down the pine tree just for some sap.
Really?
Really.
The neighbor next door clear cut his lot,
Did he have a permit?
tree down.
Did he have a permit?
Yeah, supposedly he had it from you guys, Conservation Commission.
Supposedly?
Well, from what I understand, I don't know. Yes, I was told he had approval from Conservation.
yeah,
I want to take down one pine tree.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get into your neighbors because I have no idea what the situation there was.
Mhm.
Yeah, go ahead.
What if we maybe take a look at it? Because sometimes when you look at the whole site, it can influence, losing one tree may not seem as bad if you look at the whole site. But looking at a piece of paper right now, all we see is there's
Right.
one big pine tree and that's what's going. So it might
We-
help how
we-
we looked at it. And then,
We actually did kind of rope off the area that we wanted to do the beach in, as well as the group of saplings and that pine tree that we were hoping to remove.
I mean, I don't know was there a big rush to try to get this done very soon before the ice is completely gone, or when were you hoping to do this?
We were hoping to, get it started in April, as soon as possible, because we want to be able to use it in the upcoming season as soon as possible.
Because if we don't meet again for 3 weeks, but if we could take a look at it, maybe if we've all seen it, maybe it'd
Mhm.
be easier. And if you have the place roped off, you don't need, if you don't mind, we can just drop in and take a look at the site.
Right.
Our agent did take some pictures, but he took the pictures from kind of up high, so we're kind of
Mhm.
looking down through a mass of trees, but I can't see what the shoreline looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if the other commissioners if that makes sense, or if you.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it does make sense to me. It's, hard to visualize without a map of each and every
Right.
tree. And we're not gonna have that, so.
Right. So when is your next meeting?
the 12th.
Okay.
April, yeah.
Yeah, we're okay with that. If you don't mind taking a look at it. I'm sure it would be much easier to, than me trying to explain it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with the path.
Mhm.
Whatever you need to do to, go around things to get down there.
Right.
If you have the little small excavator, bulldozer, whatever it is, however wide that is, however wide the path is going to be. I just, obviously you're going to take the path of least resistance and not push around stuff that you
Right.
don't need to unnecessarily. So
Mhm.
it's really just what happens right at the shoreline. That is, yeah.
Can you just give the exact address? Because we have a lot number, but I don't know the street address.
That there's not an address really. It's just
It's just a vacant lot. We did,
What's
we did-
across the street? Is there a mailbox across the street, or the nearest,
Or how can we find it?
Yeah, that's all, yeah.
right.
Use some
So,
breadcrumbs.
the house, I believe the house just past it is number 36. But it's the third lot back up from the hill. We do have a little sign with our name and lot number on it at the street.
Oh, okay.
where did you put that sign?
It's
Which side of
It's-
the lot?
It's closer to the left side of the lot where the it's on a tree. There's a little
Okay.
sign.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. Well, now that the weather is a little bit nicer, we'll go out, take a look,
Okay.
and I'm
If it's
sure
a-
we have to wrap it up on the 12th.
Okay.
What,
And-
we're gonna be back on the, third?
Yeah, we'll be around on the 4th. So if you
Fourth.
wanted us to meet you there, we're happy to do that.
I don't think so. I mean, you say you flagged or somehow indicated the
Yeah.
area down by the pond,
Yes.
so we should be able to find that.
Yes.
Okay.
and we can sort of get down the path without killing ourselves?
Yeah,
You'll want to have on your hiking shoes.
Okay, but the existing path is near the property boundary?
yeah,
It
it's
is,
pretty much
it's-
the boundary. yeah.
Right.
Okay. And is it visible? I mean, we'll
It
be able
is.
to, okay,
Yeah, as a matter of fact, somebody was taking snowmobiles or something down the path onto the lake over there.
okay. All right, fine. And did you, by any chance, blaze the trail that you want to take, or is that just going to happen as you go?
Yeah. think it's just gonna kind of happen organically, so we didn't tape that off.
Okay. Good enough. So we'll take a look at it, and if you can just request right now a continuance until April 12th at 6:30, 6:35, then we'll be all set.
Yes, I'd like to request the continuance. Thank you.
Okay, well then, so done.
Okay.
Before you move on, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Fred Sellers from Far Hills Association, the environmental director here at Sunset Lake. While you're in the field taking a look at that, I'd like you to take a look at the proposed sand beach area.
Yeah.
They're proposing an 18-inch buffer to the lake, and I'm pretty concerned that that might not be a sufficient width of buffer. I did some looking at this from resources like the DCR's Lake and Pond Guide, DEP's Buffer Manual, and Shoreline Protection Guidance from the North American Lake Management Society. I didn't see any of those references recommend a buffer width of less than about 15 feet, which I agree might be a little more than necessary for an undeveloped lot, but I don't think 18 inches is quite sufficient either. And then I'd also, curious about looking at alternatives besides importing sand and excavating, 18 inches from the lake. We personally prefer more native vegetation, like a cleared area without excavation, where you could have strawberries and violets and other things that actually help the pollinators or whatever be there, rather than sand, if that's an alternative. Even a wooden deck that's up off the ground, I think would be preferable to excavating all of those root masses out. I'd certainly hope for a little bit wider buffer zone than what they're talking about.
Yeah, thank you. I did not notice the 18-inch buffer component. But certainly based on my experience and looking at numerous lakefront lots, it's the tendency in heavy rains for sand to just wash into the lake, and then it becomes a constant need to reinvigorate and bring in new sand, and and then that 18-inch gap basically becomes denuded of all vegetation. So anyway, yeah, we'll take a look at that as well.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, indeed. All right, then I will, unless anybody else has any other comments, discussion, I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing for lot 511 on Sunset Drive, 511 Sunset Drive until April 12th at 6:35 p.m.
Second,
All those in favor? Marshall Dennis, aye.
Ann O'Connor, aye.
Chris Piconi, aye.
Okay. So we'll take a look at it and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I would just add before you go, we really do appreciate that you did come and ask us before you went and cut the tree, because as you see, a lot of people on the lake don't even bother, and it's very frustrating. Yeah.
Right.
We'll just,
I understand, and we're there because we love the lake and we want to help protect it too.
Yep.
If we have to compromise a little bit, we'll work with you, but hopefully we can come to something that'll work well for us. We do have a new grandson that we're hoping can just, play there by the edge of the water and be safe.
all right.
Understood.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Good night now.
Bye. Okay, that. Yeah, yeah. So Fred, good to see you.
I think
Good
Gary's
to
trying to get
see you
Lorraine.
as well, yeah.
Lorraine's been trying to join the meeting and she
No,
can't.
she is, huh? All
Yes.
right. All
Please let her
right.
in.
Participants, here we go. Waiting room. Admit all. Okay, I think I did it.
Oh,
Okay, so anyway, Fred, just while I have you, thanks for your response. And I think if we ever get out of this, COVID thing that, I'd certainly welcome the opportunity to,
And
say a few words at the appropriate time.
that's fine.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that, and I'll take you for a spin around the lake too to show you all the other violations that we keep we
Boy.
keep telling you about. The lot that's next to the T-bows, we brought to your attention, I think, unfortunately after the damage was done, where they took down an awful lot of trees. With the same guise of, oh my God, they're going to fall on the house. And it's just like, seriously, these are pretty healthy trees. They're not going to fall on the house. So yeah, we've been really trying with the outreach and the education. I think I sent you one of my newsletter articles,
Yeah.
and twice a year, almost the same spiel. If you're doing anything within 100 feet, you need to talk to the Conservation Commission. If you're not sure about whether you need to or not, call me, and then I will affirm that you do need to.
Right. Yeah, well, and I sent you the flyer, if you will, that we sent out with the electric bills a couple years ago.
Yep. Yeah, I pirated a lot from that in my newsletter. That was
Good.
stuff.
So, I mean, feel free to, use and distribute it as you see fit. I say that as you do, there's kind of the same spiel in the annual report every year, but
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that too many people read.
Well, over on the Winden side, I just stopped yelling at people and just started calling the agent saying, this guy's doing this, send somebody over. And a couple of enforcement actions later, people got me.
Okay. Well, we'll try to do the best we can. That's all we can do.
I appreciate
at
it,
it.
and we'll try to be your eyes and ears here, and bring stuff to your attention as best we can, and continue to spread the word. But
Yeah, no, I mean,
whatever we can do on our side, just let us.
No, that's really the best thing, because I mean, we just can't, patrol
No.
the vast amounts of lakefront properties, et cetera. So the only way can really hear about things is if someone, drops the dime.
Mhm.
So,
All right. Great, thanks.
okay, you're welcome. All right then, Gary, Lorraine,
Hi.
hi. What can we do for you?
Well, I sent a copy of the draft NOI.
Yeah.
Did you look at that?
Not, I must confess, I've been busy
fine.
with many other things, but if you can just summarize what's going on.
Well, first of all, before we get too far, I wanted to, when you have time, I know you're really busy. Look, I haven't filled out, even looked at an
I'm retired,
NOI
I'm not busy.
in a decade. So, did I check off the right boxes? Am I taking the right approach is what I'm going to be looking for in terms of feedback from you.
Okay,
I do have a PowerPoint presentation on describing the site and what we want to do. I see Debbie's here. Debbie, please feel free to jump in. Do you know how, can I share my screen with you? Marshall?
God willing. I'm not quite sure I know how to do it, but
Okay, we can walk you through it. There's a green button right underneath Rosemarie. It says share
yeah,
screen.
yeah, and then what do I do?
Then you
Oh, share.
to share, right? And you want to share,
Well, Lorraine, I think we can share. So if you have it on your computer, Lorraine, you could share it.
yeah, I think you're right. I see that. Yes. It is. Okay,
Oh, awesomely read.
can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this is I won't go through the whole thing because I'm trying to work this out as a long-term project that's going to require funding. So I've been getting a lot of history from various sources, and I'm working that in towards the end of it. What's important for you right now are the first slides. Let me go
Hmm.
here. This is a great photograph that I got from our local historian, Janice Packard-Roy, where you can oversee the site. I don't know what the date on this is, pre-Cushing, because there's not a lot of Cushing up there. So you can see that there were 3 impoundments. On the far right is land that is not town land, belongs to the Raspberries. And then there's sort of center is Mill Street. I have a cursor here. Is Mill Street. I believe this is Mill Street.
Mhm.
And River Street used to go from what is now the Kirkpatrick's, where the road stops right here. And he used to go behind there and connect with, oops, oh, sorry, I put that.
Whoops.
Yep, oops is right. Get it back to the beginning. There we go. So what we're dealing with is sort of from Mill Street, although not quite that far up. In this, on the left-hand side, you see is the second, I call it the middle impoundment,
Okay,
where there used to be, and I think I was here, I think this building here came down after we moved here, because I do remember this building that was the Bresnahan Scouting Center. They used to have that building.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. It must be an old building or an old foundation. This was the blacksmith shop. And this is the area that was the swimming area. So we're talking about from 12, which is over here, to here.
okay.
All right. So next slide. So I've broken it up. The yellow line is the parcel boundary. As you can see, we only own one of the impoundments. And what we're proposing, I'm trying to establish what the site looks like now. You know, what our existing structures are. I found that culvert. I went in there today to take some better pictures, to get these pictures. And there are a few times I thought maybe you would have to go searching for me there. I'd be stuck in it. It is so bad, it just grabs you. And you have to fight your way out. So getting better pictures was proving to be hazardous. But it was helpful because I could see things I couldn't see in the fall. So obviously this is the stream channel. There's the swing set roughly here. The swing set you see here on the right that we want to get rid of. Here's the culvert. And there's a flagpole and a memorial in roughly this area that the Bresnahan Scouting Center is going to take to their new location. So this gray area here is the retaining wall. And then this is the dam that's been breached.
Mm-hmm,
And, you know, and the sidewall.
mm-hmm,
There's a chain link fence, as you know. I mean, you know a lot of this already, but there's a chain link fence here and here. We
Mhm.
proposed it to end along the road. We proposed to take the one along the road out, keep this one for safety and this one for safety, perhaps repair them at some point. But right now, there's a, as you know, there's a big drop and a stairway there. So they should stay. And we're really talking about this white line right now, trying to clear that out this year. Next slide. There was it in red. So this would be the area of greatest disturbance. You can see that's the old pool location. This white line, forget about this white line. I was thinking that we could have a trail that went from where the swing set is around the back side of that first impoundment, maybe have a lookout area here. But the slope, I don't have a slopes map, I work one in, is so bad there, it's not possible. I looked at it today and there's no way that you could snake a trail through there. So just disregard that part.
Mhm.
And these are images I got in the winter when I didn't want to go outside. And you can see this is the top of River Street. And as you could look down where it's green, the road used to continue. Right now, of course, it goes to the left up by
Right.
the bed and breakfast.
Mhm.
There's Japanese knotwood on both sides of the road. On this side, it's mostly just right here, but this whole area, almost down to Route 12, is knotweed. On the right-hand side is where we thought we would put a flower box, maybe a sign or a kiosk, because it's right near the bridge, and there's been some interest in having sort of a gateway park to greet people as they come in. Maybe we'd have a local artist rotating sculptural installation. We wouldn't do much here. I think the stream is right here, so there'd be no point in going over that. And I don't know that there's a lot of invasives there, just maybe some vista pruning. Obviously, no trees taken down, nothing like this. Maybe some of those wilted saplings of the birches that are farther in the thicket, but nothing substantial tree-wise. And I'm trying to, and I need your help in establishing a limit of work line. Do you want to just pick a distance? I haven't gone out there with a tape measure, so I don't know what this is. This is just sort of an arbitrary line to get started about where our stopping and starting points would be from the bank. I was originally concerned that there would be erosion occurring if we cleared too close or encouraged people too close to the stream, until I went in today and I looked at the bank. It's pretty rocky. This is the bed itself. This is the stream bed itself. It's right down to bedrock, and all along both sides are huge stones. I don't see that there'll be an erosion issue with people going down to put their feet in. Below that here is where I thought we could cross over to the other side, because it used to be that you could go from one side to the other. I'll look at another. Hold on. So you can see here, when they put the sewer line in, it used to go straight across. It used to go right across. But you can't do it now. From one point where I took that photo, give my jumping around. Oh, looks like I lost a whole page. Oh, here it is. This is standing sort of where that white building was. You know, so if I was going to look at the left from here, I'd be looking up Gingerbread Lane. So it's right near the impoundment for the middle, right where you can see the water here is where it's breaking through. I talked to Laura Kirkpatrick today, and she said there is some sort of wood or metal or something that goes across there. But I find it hard to believe that we went from this photo when they put the sewer line in to, I'm gonna put them right next to each other.
Lorraine, is that the same swing set?
Yes. There's only one swing set that I know of.
Okay,
So now it looks like this. So when I first saw the one on the left, I thought, oh, we'll make a path that goes to the other side, but
Mm.
it will take, it's not that it can't happen, it's just that it's gonna cost a lot of money for a bridge.
yeah,
And so, looking at the site today, I dropped some of my expectations now that I could really get up close to see it. So basically, what we're looking to do is to clear out this dense vegetation, expose some really nice stonework. Like the wall here, you can't see it, but there's a lot of really nice stonework, and expose the river area so people could swim, not swim, but wade, put in picnic tables, landscape out an area with native plants, have some benches. Someone suggested, Rosemary is wondering if we could put electric charging stations closer down to Route 12. So our discussion kind of centers around what we can do and what can we take, again, disregard this line. This is the area we want to tackle. Now, I don't know who's in charge of this project. It kind of fell to me to try to advance it. I've had some discussions with landscapers, and they're all about Roundup and preen. And I know that it can be done in a safer fashion so it doesn't spread, but I'm still not a fan of supporting the product. And I would feel very uncomfortable using that. And so it would be a matter of just staying on it, just pulling it up instead of just pruning, which I was originally thinking. We need to rip this stuff up. And I was thinking of a berm, a wood chip berm from the limit of work line, wherever we establish that to be, might be enough versus just getting fencing materials. It's still fencing, there's going to be a battle to get through the thicket just to dig the fence in. So I was thinking wood chips or wattles. But seeing that it's a low budget, at this point, it's a low budget project, that wood chips would be the cheapest and best way, and then you just spread them out when things revegetate. So you know the site. What do you think?
do you happen to know the width of the property between
do.
River Street and the brook?
I do not. I can go back online. I'm working with OpenStreetMap. And I don't know if this is right or not, but in the application, in the notice of intent, it
Mhm.
asked me for the square footage.
Mm.
I guesstimated it to be about 26,000 square feet. That's
Within the
starting.
limit of work?
Yes,
Great.
but that was trying to use a measuring tool online with the mapping program I'm not too accustomed to yet. So it could be way off or up, over or under, I'm not sure.
Yeah, all right, so,
I mean, I can get out now that it's above 10 degrees, I don't mind being out so much. I can try to measure it off, at least pace it off a little bit. But it's really hard getting into it to drop any lines
I know it.
because
know.
it's so thick.
Yeah.
At one time it was like this. I was hung up in like 2 or 3 places. Maybe we'll have to cut our way just to measure it.
Tell me about it. Story of my life up to, you know.
I'm not sure where that was. Oh, I need a PDF.
I'd be interested in, if you want to go out and take a look sometime, Lorraine, I'd be curious to look at the vegetation a little bit more, because I mean, even this time of year, I can tell what buckthorn is.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's one thing if the entire lot is buckthorn, I think we're out of luck. But if maybe it's not, maybe a lot of it's just some young birches and maybe some more in other words, depending what's there might kind of dictate whether a little bit or a teeny bit of Roundup might be appropriate or not. I don't know. And actually, I'm ashamed to say I have a bottle in my basement that I've only used to kill buckthorn. I haven't touched it in about 15 years, but I learned from Paul Summers. You cut the stem and then you just put a drop right on the stem. It's not
I
sprayed.
understand that. I do that. I'm not so afraid it's going to contaminate the site.
Right.
I just hate the fact that it exists and that they use it.
Yeah. So
liberally
I
and-
would, in fact, so I would suggest like just you don't hire somebody to spray Roundup, but a couple volunteers with one bottle might be enough if it's a small amount of buckthorn. It really depends what's there. And so I'd like to just look at the vegetation maybe and just see what are we up against? What is this up against?
There's a lot of it. I won't lie to you. There's a lot of it.
A lot of it being buckthorn?
A lot of buckthorn, yes.
Okay.
Bittersweet. And
Yeah.
now there was one area I thought we could clear out some of that vegetation at the upper. I put a photograph in here. Sort of in this area right here. To the left of this is the middle pond. All of this stuff here is just invasive stuff. But in order to get rid of it, you're gonna have, if you had to pull it, there'd be siltation. There's no way to avoid it because underneath it is soil. Down next to the stream, it's almost siltation proof, not really. But as you can see in this photograph here, it's lined with these big, huge stones. So you can get pretty close to it without disturbing, without siltation. Right here, there's no way you could hold that back very easily. I mean, you could, but getting that out of there will be very traumatic to the soil. And just like I said, just on the other side of this is the pond. In this one, you can see here, this is a stone wall or impoundment for the higher level, the upper impoundment. This is where the road used to go before it went left up Mill Street. But I mean, this we could just cut it and keep cutting it. But I don't know I don't think we have enough money to block that off well enough to get it out without.
Not unless you want to set up a tent site out there and,
Yeah.
go out every day. All right, I think one of the first things we need to do is to get a conceptual idea anyway of well, first of all, we maybe define the work area more clearly. If there's an offset off the brook, then, we need to define what that is. Is it 25 feet, whatever, whatever that white line wants to be.
Yep.
The other thing that is important is to then try to discern what is wetland now and what is upland now. Because what one does in both of those habitats, you probably have a little bit more license, obviously, in the upland areas than you do in the wetland areas. But and as far as I'm concerned, if anybody wanted to go in there and, take a saw and start hacking away at the swing, feel free. If you need some piping, there it is. I don't really care about that. But there's also a lot of alder and pussy willow and stuff like that in there. So
Yeah.
it's not like a free for all. You have to be careful what you're, there is, rows and stuff that could come out as well.
You've got
I
some.
think,
listed
I
here.
think, maybe the best thing to do is start with, instead of getting into the tangles of whether it's bittersweet or whatever it is, maybe just focus on like the tree, well, the sap, like the individual woody plants, as opposed to the massive tangles of vegetation. But
Well, a lot of those are tangled around the woody plants. I did see
Well-
one good sized pussy willow, but it had gotten broken over. It was
Yeah.
cracked. It's not gonna make it. It needs
Yeah.
to come out because it's cracked at the base.
well, and there's a lot of sensitive fern and other, wetland plants in there that um, I think one thing would be to, maybe attack just the invasives and then see what's left, see what it looks like when we're done.
Hmm.
I personally am not adverse to using Roundup or rodeo. I mean, if used, with discretion, it disintegrates and, got a relatively short half-life and it's going to just go away. So
Really?
I don't have a problem with it. Particularly if you're just not broadcasting it, but you're putting it on top of the diameter of the tree or sapling that you just cut. Because otherwise they're just going to resprout and you'll be doing it again next year.
I think there will be some degree of maintenance required
Oh yeah,
just to, regardless of how we do it, we're gonna have to keep doing whatever it is we're doing.
no, I mean, that's for sure.
There seems to be a lot of community interest, so I think we could get a friends group going.
Mhm.
Janice Packard Roy is ready to go public with this, and she keeps wanting me to connect her with people like she's.
Because it's an excellent project. I'm just gonna pipe in. It's an excellent project.
It
That's
is.
why.
It is. And she says we need a GoFundMe site, and so I think that if with careful planning, we can get the funds to do something significant here. And a management plan that is not dependent on DPW having to assume the responsibilities would need to be part of that. And I'm sure we could get a friends of
Yeah,
whatever you want to call it, we end up
Right.
calling.
Yep.
That will help maintain it over the years. And if the garden club wants to get involved, they could also be helpful. Because it would be nice to have some really nice botanical plants installed there, native things that will hopefully help to keep down, something to compete and push against the buckthorn and
Yeah.
and all of that. I mean, a lot of it, some of the trees that in order to get rid of the buckthorn, you're going to have to take the tree down. of the woody plants down that you might not otherwise want to take down, but they are entangled in this fence here that should stay for safety
Right.
reasons. It's woven all through
I
that.
know, yeah. Okay, let me take a look at what you've done so far.
Okay.
And
Nice. I sent you a PDF and there's sticky notes and annotations that,
okay, let me take a look. And now, as you say, now that the weather's better, I think we could, begin to go out and get a better idea of what the work zone wants to be.
yeah. That's what I need from you now. And then we can, I think there are certain details we can iron out later on. But just to keep the momentum going and keep the volunteers engaged, what's the least thing that we can start to do once we establish where we can do it and where we can't do it? Then I think we can get people that are ready to jump in and start yanking at it, whatever we do. Someone said there is poison ivy in there, so I've given up on the idea of burning it. I can't imagine why there wouldn't be poison ivy in there.
Yeah. Well, we can figure that out later.
Yeah.
Could goats eat any of this?
Yeah, I would think so.
They eat everything.
Yeah, people rent them out for the poison ivy. Maybe they can
They do.
clear cut this stuff.
Well, that's a good idea. They do rent them out. And but I mean, obviously the entire property is subject to jurisdiction. So let me take, like I said, let me take a look at what you've done. Let me take a look at the regulations and see if we can't come to, first of all, make the notice of intent complete so we can process it. Because you can't do anything until we're finished with a regulatory review and we issue an order of conditions.
Obviously, yep.
So the sooner we can do that, the better, because then you can go out, it's valid for 3 years and you can always extend it.
We could.
So,
Okay. And well, you had asked earlier about defining which was upland and which is wetland. I know this area here, excuse me, there's a lot of seepage.
Yeah.
There is the culvert that I showed in another one, but a lot of this is wet, I think, because it's seeping through here and then obviously all the way around here.
yeah.
And then, but over here, it's scrabbly.
I can almost draw a line, right now where the upland and wetland is, but we can do that.
Okay.
Um,
I thought one of the early things we can do is right up front here, is put a sign here. Just, once we know the project is going to happen, just install a wooden sign here that will allow us, people to know what's going on and to get them interested.
Well, I would wait until we issue the order, but then,
Obviously, yes, but that would be one of the first things that,
no, that wouldn't be a problem. Although, again, it's town property, so I'm assuming that whatever the commission may approve, that it's going to also need Board of Selectmen approval.
and Rosemary tells me that it is, and I think she's there, and I may say this incorrectly. Is it Mass Development is doing a study? Rosemary, can you speak to that?
I'm sure
Yeah.
What's the site?
Yeah, so Mass Development is currently our consultants, RKG Associates, all town-owned properties within the project area. So the project area goes, Maple to Pleasant Street,
down to Academy, and then across to Puffer, but they called out this specific area because it's town owned, but also because there was the possibility, since it likely is in a floodplain, that we could do some sort of a river walk that would go from there down Maple Ave. So, so they are going to look at it from an existing conditions point of view. We also have a grant we're kicking off on Friday. It's a rapid recovery COVID response plan. They may or may not be looking at this. That one there will be getting feedback on in August. So that goes through August. Both of these will help to determine whether or not there's funding possibilities. But yes, you would have to go to the Board of Selectmen. The other thing too that's interesting about this parcel is actually controlled, as far as I can see, by the Water and Sewer Commission.
I think you're right.
Yep. So I don't know how that's going to work either. Cleaning it up, I don't think is an issue. It's just like, what do you ultimately do with it?
Right.
The light plant is applying for grants for EV charging stations. So they can do a larger bank of, I think, 8 charging stations in a location, or they can potentially break them up into 2 or 3 charging stations. They talked to me about possibly putting one on River Street, primarily because there's not a good place downtown on Main Street where you could put one. This was the best location.
Right. And it's an easy walking distance.
Correct. So it would be a fast charge.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know whether or not they've moved forward with that.
Okay. Well, then I think once we get kind of a plan in place, a firm plan in place, then we should talk with the Water and Sewer Commission as well. Just not leave them in the dark.
Should we do that sooner than later, just to let them know? In case there
I
is any
actually, if I could break in, I'd say go to the TA and the Board of Selectmen first before you go to Water and Sewer.
Good idea. Okay. This PowerPoint, Lorraine, did you include that with your submittal?
I did not, but I was just thinking I'll send it to you. I still want to clean it up a little bit. It changes daily. I get more information
Yep.
every day about it, and so it's getting longer and longer. It was quite an industrial strip from behind Raspberries, that upper impoundment.
Yeah.
Down Maple Street. There was quite a lot of activity, mill activity, and more. There was a grist mill. Go back to the very first slide. Apparently there was a grist mill here in this area. And I know the longer I talk to Janice Packard Roy, the longer and longer that history section will get. Just this afternoon, I went over to say hi to her, and 40 minutes later, I'm still getting more facts. But so this in here, and where I'll send it to you. I'll send it to everyone. You can see as it comes through. But she gives it to me in bits and pieces, and I'm trying to put something together. But then she'll give me startling information the next week that kind of. Plus, I've gone out online myself and found who donated the property to the town, why it's Bresnahan and not Briggs, when it was Briggs who was the superstar. And it was really quite a vibrant section, not just from an industrial standpoint, but from a community aspect. It was quite a lively little place. There's a lot of historical importance in this little strip between here and Woodings and Victoria House.
Right. Well, the other thing that crosses my mind is that, you know, all this can proceed, but ultimately, we're also going to have to do some more quality testing in there before, you know, we encourage people to dabble.
I was wondering that too. I don't know how safe that, who those dam, well, they belong to the town. But the Rosberries own a dam. And there's that middle dam there. There's the one down below that's breached. But when I was reading, originally I thought that machinery parts, chucks being, I deleted the slide because it really applied to the TR Almond Company, who made these metal chucks and flex lamps, and I want to say calipers, but they're not, and micrometers. They made micrometers.
Mhm.
And so I started then to worry about what chemicals we used in this area, but I think that activity was on the other side of Route 12, closer, down where the Woodings and Triumph.
Mhm.
That's where TR Almond was, even though he owned this property up here. I'm not sure. I'll get more information from Janice as time rolls out, but it's exactly what was produced in here. I'm not sure, except for the blacksmith shop. I'm not sure that there were that much that was chemically based, but
Well,
I'm just guessing.
I'm going to assume that, you know, whatever kind of chemicals, you know, Whitney Pond is a sediment related thing.
Yeah.
That the chemicals are adsorbed in the sediments and that the water flowing freely through it
Yeah.
is a different story.
I was really surprised when I got down here and I looked at this. And it's beautiful. It's the whole thing. I didn't see any sandy parts. I didn't see anything but this stone through the entire channel. And the water was crystal clear. So, I mean, not that it doesn't have stuff in it, but it was
Right.
very clean.
Yes, Rosemary.
Someone had mentioned goats. So I've had goats on my property, and they're great. So they eat all the top area. Obviously, they don't go after the roots or anything, but if you wanted to clear that out, let me tell you, 1 week, they'll be gone. Now, I only did a small, tiny section trying to get through to the buckthorn, and I have to tell you, it's come back. And I have not used Roundup, but they did a good job on the multiflora, rosa, and the bittersweet. And we didn't have any poison ivy where we had them.
How were they contained? Were they fenced in or?
They were in electric fence, and it was like a corridor
Okay.
that went up. Yeah.
And is it,
How many days do they stay?
They were there for a week, and she came every day to check on them. It was, I can't remember the name of them, but she's local. She's a vet tech.
Was it Mitzi Roy out in Townsend?
I can't remember. She's, I could look her up. She is a vet tech at Westford Emergency Vet.
I don't think that's her. I don't know.
But would this work on, this is kind of woody, shrubby, pretty thick
Oh,
pine
they
vegetation.
strip it right down,
They
Chris.
strip the leaves off, but they're not going to eat the woody stems. So I'm just thinking it'll be a nice hit, but they're not really going to remove the.
Right, but you could get
Maybe.
into it then.
That, yes, they do get some of the thinner stuff. They're not going to get like the trunks of bittersweet that's, really big.
That's why I think it's a supplement, but it's not going to remove the need.
It's not going to remove it, but you might be able to get into it.
Yeah.
and did this person, you know, set up the electric fence and all
They
that?
did everything.
Okay.
They did everything. I don't know if it's worth, having her give you an estimate. It's Central Mass Goats.
This image just in from Janice Packagroy. They keep coming in.
Hebert. Hebert is her last name. Pam, I think.
Okay, I'll call her.
Yeah. But you have to get in there as soon as they've done their job. You can't delay because everything just goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, well, that's a good resource.
Yep.
All right, well,
okay. Yeah, you tell us where no man's land is and we'll come back with a plan.
okay. I'll be in touch, best I can do.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, before everybody disembarks, we, the commission, still have 2 certificates of compliance to address. One is for 12 Mistletoe Drive and the other is 6 Winding Cove Road. Any comments, discussions regarding either of those? All right, then I'm going to make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 12 Mistletoe Drive.
Second,
All those in favor, Marshall Dennis, aye.
Ann O'Connor, aye.
Chris Piconi, aye.
Awesome. Then I'm going to make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 6 Winding Cove Road.
Second,
All in favor, Marshall Dennis, aye.
Ann O'Connor, aye.
Chris Piconi, aye.
All right, and the other thing was the meeting minutes from our March 8th session. Any comments one way or the other? Okay, make a motion to approve the minutes, meeting minutes for March 8th.
Second,
All those in favor, Marshall Dennis, aye.
aye. Ann O'Connor, aye.
Chris Piconi, aye.
Awesome, then we are set. Hi, Cease.
Hi, Marshall.
Anything else? Okay,
Can't pick up tomorrow.
what?
Nothing we can't pick up tomorrow.
No,
Are we meeting tomorrow? I thought it was next week for some reason. It's tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I have it as the 30th for some reason. The open space group.
Right. Wrong.
So that is wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Shoot.
so the open space session is tomorrow?
Yes.
At what time?
6.
Okay. I'm going to be visiting the dentist at noontime, having a crown put on, so I'm not sure how
Talkative you will be.
talkative I'm going to be, right? But anyway, but I'll take good notes. Okay,
There's quite a huge structure there. There was a huge mill there. She
Yeah.
just sending me with more images. It was pretty big. Looks like 3 stories.
yeah, well, like I said, it'll be helpful to look at whatever you've pulled together there.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. So anyway, the other thing is, be sure in the next couple weeks, whatever, if you have a chance to get out to lot 511 Sunset Drive, please do so. So I know it's just one tree, but
Yeah, I'd like to be there with one of you guys if I could, so I can see what it is you're looking at. So maybe
Well,
keep me posted when you're
yeah.
gonna go.
yeah, I mean, 2 people is not a quorum, so that's,
Correct.
that's doable. Let me check my calendar and then, it doesn't have to be right away, but sometime within the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I can shoot you an email and let you know when I'm going to be there.
Fair enough, thanks.
I'll
Okay.
do the same. If I'm going out, I'll just say I'm, maybe Saturday. I don't know.
Yeah, just
I'll let you
Okay,
know.
great.
send everybody the same email and then, we'll make arrangements.
And we'll make sure there aren't 3 of us there at the same time, because that
That
was
would be the trigger.
Somebody will wait by the road.
if you see 2 cars there, don't go in.
Yeah, right. Okay, all right, then I think that's it. Enjoy the nice weather while it lasts, because I think next weekend is supposed to get pretty cold again.
Oh, good.
Uh-oh,
But I've taken the plow out the truck, so,
that's it.
Gonna snow.
It's your fault.
it
You
is
shouldn't have done that.
I mean, usually I wait, I know, but the temptation was just too much, so. Okay, all right, folks, I think we're set. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
All those in favor? Marshall Dennis, aye.
Ann O'Connor, aye.
Good night.
I got 7:52, so whatever the time. Good enough. All right, folks, thanks very much.
Night,
Ann.
all.
Take care. Yep. See ya. End.